Good morning. Lumina Foundation is delighted to be here as underwriter sponsoring this summit on the future of work. The future of work is very important to our efforts at Lumina Foundation. Lumina is the largest private foundation in the nation focused solely on post-high school learning. Our interests at Lumina Foundation are really in systemic change. What we're trying to do is to make learning opportunities available for all people beyond high school, because we see learning beyond high school as critical to lifelong success for all Americans. You know, this issue of learning for all and improving learning is really critical to meeting the nation's rising demand for talent. 2/3 of the jobs being created today require some form of post-high school learning, and yet we see increasing evidence of the fact that the connections between the worlds of learning and work are not well intertwined. Going forward, learning and work must be better connected to ensure our shared prosperity as a nation, and we are doing everything in our powers as a private foundation to make that happen. One of the things that we're doing is exciting new work with a partner, Working Nation. Working Nation is an innovative storytelling organization that takes an approach to helping people better understand this changing nature of work and the shift in the nature of work that's going on. And I'm joined by Joan Lynch, who's the Chief Content and Programming Officer at Working Nation. Joan's an award-winning journalist and producer, probably best known as the developer and overseer of ESPN's celebrated 30 for 30 series. You know, one of the issues that we focus on at Lumina Foundation is competency-based learning, and this idea that you have to know and be able to do things in order to be able to receive those credentials. We think that increasingly the credentials that are awarded either by colleges or universities or really from any issuing body, a workplace-based learning context to direct-to-consumer context, should reflect competency. What kind of competencies do you think these people need to be successful as they move through that iteration of work and learning?
You know, I think it can be industry by industry, and I think the community colleges and the businesses, one of the panels before us talked about having a very clear conversation about what are the jobs in this area, what are the needs, and how can we then, as a community college or a college, four-year college, online school, provide them. But I think in general, that collaboration has to lay out for others, here are the credentials that are going to be helpful for you in this particular field, instead of sort of this general, you know, here, take these 5 classes and you'll be good in this field. Just, it doesn't work that way anymore.
You know, one of the questions, and this came up a little bit in an earlier panel, is this question about equity and the fact that we need a more equitable learning context so that people who are actually learning and are able to apply that learning in work are treated fairly throughout the learning process. Tell us a little bit from your perspective as a storyteller about how we can tell the story about equity without it becoming a he said, she said, without it becoming an issue of these are issues that are either black or white. It seems to me that these are American issues,
that's right.
and that equity are issues that equity is an issue that should matter to all of us. How do we make sure that that gets transmitted into this learning and work conversation?
Well, that's why I think that Working Nation is such a great opportunity for us to do this, because when you put a human face on something, one of the stories that we're working on and have been for 2 years is the story of returning medics, special forces medics who went in without a college degree, get 10, 12 years in the military, $1 million worth of training, and as they come out, they don't get credit towards EMT school or nursing school. And there's a great need in this country for people in the healthcare field. And so as you start to put a face on that and you start to think about places like Las Vegas and what happened this week and healthcare providers and how we need people in this country that can respond, you can start to make that connection in your own brain about this person has a skill, perhaps with an extra credential, perhaps with something else. They should be in that place because we need them as a country. Same could be said for home health care workers and other positions. So telling it through a person and a character, I hope creates some change and some shift that can create change in life and in people's futures.